You may think, how convenient for the latest in a very long line of British royals to make his debut just in time for Mother's Day. Archie, right? His name is Archie, if you didn't know that. But you would be thinking wrong, Lee, because today is not Mother's Day in Great Britain. In fact, there is no Mother's Day in Great Britain. Anybody know? It's Mothering Sunday, and yes, it falls in March. Why? Because March is 9 months from when? Christmas Day. Mothering Sunday was begun in the 1600s, so it's quite old. And what Mothering Sunday meant was that you were to go to your mother church, which is where you were baptized. That's what Mothering Sunday was, until about the 20th century when our commercialization of Mother's Day reached the British Islands, and now they buy roses for their moms too on that day. But that's their history. And I rather like that subtle shift from Mother's Day to Mothering Sunday, because it kind of shifts the focus from our own sentimental love for our own mommies to really honoring the vocation of parenting, right? Motherhood. I think motherhood is a calling, meaning it's a divine vocation. It's something God asks us to do. And if God asks us to do it, God always has a certain way in mind. Now, all of us who have raised children or who are raising children really hope that ours will end up on the sheep side of things rather than the goat side, right? When that little line gets drawn. But that doesn't always happen. Why not? Well, because one of the hardest lessons that we parents learn very early on is that our voices are not the only ones that are going to influence and guide the values and the beliefs and the behaviors of our children, right? I doubt that even our graduates of Disciple Bible Study focused on this proverb. But it's quite amazing in how relevant and how real it is as it paints sort of the challenge to parents about those other voices that are out there. Listen to this again. Come with us. Let us lie and wait for blood. We shall find all kinds of costly things. Had your car broken into lately? We shall fill our houses with booty. Throw in your lot among us. We will all have one purse. I understand you can't even go to the Rayleigh's parking lot where I live without being accosted by some young person. I don't know if you've noticed. I hope you have. And if you haven't, I want to bring your attention to it. Pretty much every month, Brenda Cunningham looks over the current literature, and she selects a very fine article on parenting for all of us. And so if you haven't noticed that, and maybe you don't have kids, share it with someone who does. And for this particular month, for May, she put in an article that is intended to help parents who are divorced navigate the troubled waters of celebrating Mother's Day and Father's Day. Some of you have waded into those waters, and some of you are maybe neck deep in them right now. Even as grandparents, it's difficult. I commend that article to you. We need that kind of help and support from one another to learn how to raise parents who will raise children who are equipped for today. This is some wisdom from Islam. Do not raise your children the way parents raised you. They were born for a different time. There's wisdom in that, right? Not everything's different, but some things are. Some things are. And so, Centennial, I have this question in my heart. What do we need to teach parents so that they will raise the children that will reflect the values we want to have reflected, that we value and treasure here at Centennial, that the gospel leads us in and guides us in? In other words, how is the beloved community called to raise parents today? Today. It's not 1920 or 1940 or 1950 or 1960. It's almost 2020. How will the beloved community raise parents for today? I recently heard a young woman speaking about being raised in the Unitarian Universalist church, and she said that their progressive theology meant they were all taught not to see color. Wrong. Wrong. If you tell me you don't see my color, I have just disappeared. You have erased me. You have erased my heritage. You have erased my place among all the peoples of these United States. No, that's not what we want to teach our children. We want to teach them that I love my color, I just don't want to be punished for it, right? This is what we face today. Challenges of inclusion. How does one not raise a white nationalist? How will we equip our children to understand the difference between freedom of religion and people who simply want to discriminate against LGBTQI people and the services they offer? How will we help our children embrace fully and wholly those whose abilities are very different from their own? These are what we are challenged with today, with our value of full inclusion. Well, I have a thought. What if we reimagine Sunday school and instead think of it as an incubator for families, children, and parents, where we can teach the values, and not just the values, but some of the strategies, some of the science, some of the information that we now have about how we can lead all children into the fullness of their lives that God intends for them. What if that is what Sunday school looks like at Centennial? What would we teach parents if we want all of our children to have considerable cross-cultural competencies, if we want them to understand how to confront discrimination and bullying of others who are different? How will we teach parents to help their children know? Well, we're going to have to do something more in Sunday school than simply teach the sweet Jesus pictures. And I don't mean to imply that's all we ever do. But certainly it will mean that we share the stories where Jesus confronted the religious authorities of his day, as well we need to do today. And also, he confronted the empire of his day. This is part of our Christian curriculum for the year 2020 and beyond. Every black father in this country knows the painful importance of having the talk with his son. And if you don't know what that is, ask somebody. And the reason they have to do that is because there's a whole lot of other parents who have not had a talk with their children about the deep subconscious implicit biases that we all harbor against young black men. What will we teach all parents to share with their children? Centennial, I know that we have extraordinary resources here in this room right now to address these questions, to build a family ministry for the year 2020 and beyond that helps us help parents navigate those whose siren call is just as strong today as it was 3,000 years ago in that proverb. How will we do that? I don't know, but I believe perhaps the Spirit is calling you to step up to a relational ministry with the parents, not just of our congregation, but of this whole area, perhaps the whole neighborhood, the whole city. How will we support and surround all parents with what they need today? These are unique challenges for our time, and God calls us to be generous with parents, with what we know, and yet even helping them go into those uncharted waters that is before them. Let's hold all of our parents in our hearts, and let's work together to build a family ministry at Centennial that builds the beloved community right here so we can be the beacon that God intends us to be for everyone else. Amen.